everyone, welcome back to the Lord of the Rings Online. This is Glennoran here. Say hello to everyone, Glennoran. That's right, I forgot. Dwarves don't wave. Anyway, here we are, back over here, just outside the gates of Buckland. I'll pull up the map for you. We have done this one, particular set of quests here before. See, we are right down here. Like I said, here's Buckland. We are just to the north of it, right on the edge of the Shire. The Brandywine Bridge is there. The gates of Buckland are right there. This is the people involved in the tale of the shipwrecked mariner. This is their yearly quest, yearly celebration that the Lord of the Rings has in celebration of Talk Like a Pirate Day. Usually it's just a day or two long. This year it's running for about 5 days, I think. It started 2 days ago. Yeah, it started on Thursday, and I believe it runs through either Sunday or Monday. And it's the same kind of thing. You come up here, you get the quest initially from the first mate. You have to travel all the way up the Brandywine to the Barondelf, talk to the captain, come all the way back, and then trade in the items to the quartermaster here. And the items that you are collecting are, of course, the kegs of cram. Here's one right over here. And they're scattered on both sides of the river all the way up. So you got the kegs of cram. And it says, do you wish to bind permanently? Yes, I do. So go ahead and pick it up. And the other items you can pick up are waterlogged crates, which hopefully we'll see one over here. I'm sure that we shall. There we go. Waterlogged crates. You pick them up, and inside the waterlogged crates is occasionally a little bit of copper, but always at least 1 to 3 bottles of ale. You can also find waterlogged footlockers. Those are much more rare, and they'll have some beginning level entry items like first level wood logs, tin ore, a few silver pieces, and they've usually got 1 of 3 different sets of cosmetics. You come back here, you trade in
Greetings, friend. How may I be of help?
Trade in the ale and the cram, just like last year. You get the mariner's hat and eye patch, the mariner's hat, or the mariner's eye patch. Yeah, the eye patch alone, the hat alone, or both together. And they're cosmetic items. They look really nice if you're into the kind of pirate thing. Each one of these is 25 bottles of ale, 10 kegs of cram. And in the footlockers, you can find any of these things, but they're a higher level. They're deckhand, first mate, and captain. And they have stats on them like armor class, vitality, that sort of thing. These 3 that you can buy are totally cosmetic. The addition to it this year is the bag of Bounders tokens. You can turn in the 25 and 10 just as before and get a bag of Bounders token, which works just like the bags that you were getting, that you get off looting mobs, and just like the bags that you were getting during the festival, and that you right click on it and it'll give you a random number of Bounders tokens. Most of the ones I've had so far have been between 5 and 20. So there you go. That's the only differences to the quest of the mariners here, is that 1, it's lasting for either 4 or 5 days instead of just 2 days like it usually does, and 2, you can hand in the Bounders tokens. And I'll throw a link right up here, not a link, but the number right up here, which episode I covered that in. Alrighty. The next thing up, and this is the reason why we're on Glennoran and not on Gnarlo, is that the Hobbit Day, the Hobbit's celebration, Baggins' birthday, is going on. Once you first log in, you get a message saying it's Bilbo Baggins' birthday, one of those blue messages on the board, like they do for all the festivals. You click on it, it gives you the quest dialogue with the accept or decline thing. It says, with Frodo and Bilbo's birthday close at hand, Frodo is looking for an adventurer to assist him with a surprise for his uncle Bilbo. Travel to Rivendell to assist Frodo with his plans. So you are given that quest, and when you do, it says, speak to Frodo at the last homely house in Rivendell. and that is where we are going to travel next, so I will see you over there. We have just entered the doors of the last homely house here, and our instructions are to speak to Frodo in the last homely house. Now Frodo has a room right over here. He is in Bilbo's room. This is Bilbo's bedroom that he's been given by the elves of the last homely house, and Frodo can almost always be found in here, along with a few other members of his, I won't say his fellowship because he's not actually in a fellowship yet, but the future members of the fellowship, being Samwise, Merry and Pippin, and Frodo and Gandalf are all in here. So you want to come up and you want to talk to Frodo, and he will have
Is there something I can do for you?
Baggins' birthday. Hello, you're here to assist me with my birthday surprise for Uncle Bilbo.
Might I speak with you a moment?
Accept the quest. Glennoran, I'm glad you're here. I am in need of an adventurer such as yourself to help with a birthday surprise for my Uncle Bilbo. When Bilbo decided to resettle in Rivendell, he did it in a typical fashion, as you may have heard, with a bang and a flash, disappearing right during his own birthday party. In that moment, Bilbo instantly became the subject of many a tall tale and increasingly exaggerated legend. I know he'd be amused to no end to hear some of these stories, but I myself can't go collect them. The next time you're in the Shire, could you do this for me? Were I you, I'd start at the Gaffer. He hears most everything worth hearing, and he will surely know who you should talk to in order to obtain the very best tales. So from here, we go back to the Shire to talk to the Gaffer. Now this is a huge change from all the previous Hobbit days. In the previous Hobbit days, number one, they only occurred on Frodo and Bilbo's birthday, which was September 22nd. You had the one day to do it, and then it was over with. I believe I did it last year and recorded it. If I did, I'll throw the number of the episode right here over the cape of this fine chap. And the other thing was, you came to Frodo, he asked you to wish Bilbo a happy birthday. You'd go across the hall to where Bilbo is, and you'd wish him a happy birthday. I think there was a minor little quest to run or something, and at the end of it you got a Dale cracker. It was a little musical item that you could carry and you could click on, and it would play a short little tune. It was a nice little gift, a nice little quest, and it took once you were here, took all of about 5 minutes to finish. So this is greatly expanded this year. I really like that they've done this. I'm wondering if the crackers will ever be back in again, or whether that's an item, going to be one of these rare items that you're never going to see again in the game. They were permanently bound. They were a real item. Mine are currently in my housing storage, or in my bank vault, something like that. So, like I said, I believe I recorded the episode last year, so I'll throw the number up here. In the meantime, let's head back to Hobbiton, speak to Gaffer Gamgee, and find out what he has to say about the strange tales following the disappearance of old Mad Baggins. We are crossing the bridge over the water. Everybody stop and throw a mean look toward Ted Sandyman over there, as is tradition. Okay, we need to speak to Gaffer Gamgee, and as y'all know, he lives in number 3 Bagshot Row, which is right here, and we travel down to number 3. And y'all may notice I'll stop here right quick and give y'all a quick look around. I had to do it. I had to break down and finally get around to purchasing it. I did buy the steed of the Guardian, in this case the pony of the Guardian. And I'll show it to you again when it's daylight and you can see it a lot better, but I really liked it. My brother Dwindon's had the steed of the Hunter for a long time, and I regretted missing the steed of the Guardian when it came through the store the first time. It was, about a year and a half ago. It has taken them forever to put it back up. I think what they did is they put up each one of the various class horses one at a time over like a 2-month period until they finally got them all through the store, and then now they're all available in the store again. So I really like it. It's got the little shield. It's got the barding on its neck and its legs and everything. Let me cut off the thing. Oops. Didn't need to do a screenshot. You can shut you down as well. There you go. It's got the protectors down here on the lower part of its legs, up here on its haunches, the barding on the neck. It's got a nice shield and a sword, either a pack or looks like a saddle blanket, sleeping blanket, a couple of side packs, and a axe on one side. Really do enjoy it. So that's the steed of the Guardian. So let us get back into the game here. We're going to dismount and come up and talk to Gaffer Gamgee. Oh, and as you see, I'm also carrying a lantern. I went ahead and bought that during the Farmers Fest. It was one of the things that I wanted because, you know, with the Alt 10, you had the little personal light you cut on and off. But I've always felt that it was kind of a cheat for me. Now that I have a lantern in my hand, I feel like I actually have a reason for why this pool of light's around me. So I've really appreciated having been able to get that. So let's go ahead and talk to Gaffer Gamgee. Yes, I am a role player. Why do you ask? Okay. Baggins' birthday, Frodo's request.
Just a moment.
Why, hello. Frodo sent you to talk to me then. What's that young fry up to now?
I've no chat with strangers.
I got Gaffer's list. So you're here to collect stories about Bilbo Baggins, are you? Heard that I would know who to talk to. Naturally, you're correct. Give me a moment and I'll write you down a list of likely hobbits to talk to. Mind you, you'll need to catch them at just the right time. If they don't seem to have a story for you, check back on them in a while. If you want to hear every story, you'll need to have some perseverance. So there we go, and it says speak to the Gaffer.
Is there something I can do for you?
Right then, here's that list. You'll want to give it a quick look to make sure you can read my handwriting. Okay, so let's look over the Gaffer's note. Mind you, remember what I told you. Not everyone's going to have time to talk to you at once. If a hobbit doesn't have a story for you when you want to talk, check back with them later. A list of likely hobbits. Ted Sandyman. Ted is located on the south side of the Bywater Bridge, which can be found following the road south out of Hobbiton Bywater. Well, we saw Ted when we came in. The sorry little hobbit. Sheriff Robin Smallborough. Robin is inside the Ivy Bush Inn, which is located in the town of Hobbiton Bywater. We passed that on the way. Dudo Chubbs. He's standing near the task bulletin board north of the center of Hobbiton. Lobelia Sackbill Baggins. She is found outside of Bag Inn. We know where she is, right at the top of the hill here. The Storyteller. They're also inside the Ivy Butch. Misspelling. Ivy Butch Inn. Hal Hornblower, he's near the stable master down in the town square down here. Bogo is the stable master, so he'll be standing next to Hal. Lotho is right up the hill here, right next to Lobelia. A hobbit child who will be listening to the storyteller inside the ivy bush. Hereward Loamsdown, he's the barkeep of the ivy bush. Holly Hornblower, who is right behind the ivy bush, she's the one that you get the deliver pie missions, those of y'all who ran the pie quest here in Hobbiton, here in the Shire, so you know where Holly is. And Postman Grubb, who's at the mailbox down in Hobbiton. So everyone is down there. So we need to speak to the Gaffer again.
What do you need?
That note makes sense then. Were I you, I'd probably start by talking to Ted Sandyman. Just follow this road out to the east and then turn south. Ted's standing just south of the Bywater Bridge. I know Ted's got time now, so he'll be happy to share his story. Just remember that not every hobbit on that list will have a story to share whenever you please. Just check back on them from time to time. You'll catch them at a good time soon enough, I'm sure. Okay, now he's told you about 87 times now to check back with him, and not all of them are going to be wanting to talk to once. Now, I think this is an excellent, wonderful quest here. I also think it is one of the most frustrating that Turbine has ever put into the game. For that very reason, and you'll probably get to see what I'm talking about here. Let's go on down the hill. We'll talk to Ted first. The situation is that You triggered the quest. You talk to him. You start the quest by talking to Ted. Ted will always talk to you. So you go down here. Ted is going to have a ring over his head. And he is going to talk to you, and he's going to tell you the first story about what happened to old Mad Baggins at the party. And I was actually kind of surprised by Ted, because, you know, Ted doesn't get along very well. He was he's one of the villains. He was friends with Lobelia and Lotho up yonder. And he was one of the ones that was helpful as far as destroying the old mill here and cutting down so many trees of the forest of the Shire whenever Sharky and his boys came into town. So it's strange.
Might I speak with you a moment?
He's actually got a pretty nice story. Surely I'll tell you a tale of Bilbo Baggins and the disappearing act he pulled at his birthday party all those years ago. Just lend me your ear for a moment. So let's talk to him.
Well, the gall of some folk.
Well now, what I heard is that Bilbo had just about had it on his birthday. So many people, all of them bickering and squawking and trying to sneak into Baggin and look for treasure. Anyone would grow weary and want to be done with it. Bilbo was always a unconventional hobbit. So what I heard tell is he decided to give everybody a good scare and sneak away. Went to go enjoy himself where his family wasn't, and went round all the taverns and inns trying their brew. Now, from what I hear tell, no one's quite sure what really happened after that, but my brother's son's friend's cousin works down at the Green Dragon, and he swears he shipped off a barrel that was heavier than the others the next day, and that it rolled funny, like something was in it. Didn't think to question it until after the fact. My guess is that Bilbo enjoyed himself a bit too much, found himself in a cozy barrel, and got shipped off. Goodness only knows where he is now. I wonder what interesting brews he's gotten to try in far-flung lands. So see, Ted's calling Bilbo a drunk, but he's also kind of grudgingly respectful of him, you know. He doesn't call him any bad names, like some of the people have done. And he's also jealous of him, saying, you know, wonder what kind of drinks he's gotten into. Okay, so that's the first one. Now at this point, you get the deed. And the deed is Baggins' birthday. And here's all the people that you've got to find. And of course, as always, they turn green. Shipped off in a barrel. Reminds me of another story I heard once. So now you start looking around, looking for people who've got rings over their heads. Now, the rumor is that I've been seeing on the boards and all is that they change every hour. And that you can come back and check again. See, Postman Grubb's got one. So let's go talk to Postman Grubb. We'll grab them while we get them.
Could I take a moment of your time?
The rumors they change every hour, but maybe the group that comes up during that hour is chosen on the hour, but I know they're only up for about 15 or 20 minutes because like I said, Mindfiend and I ran this last night. And the hobbits were changing about every 20 minutes or so. They would change who had the rings over their heads. So it's not every hour. But you see that over here in GLFF and the global channels. You see them say, well, it changes every hour, and I've seen them say on the message boards it changes every hour. But I'll assure you it does not. It changes more frequently than that. The problem is it seems to be random. So some of the hobbits, whenever it chooses them again, some of the hobbits get skipped. And this is the downside. Why I think it's one of the worst ones is that, for instance, last night we were waiting on Lobelia. Lobelia was the last one that we had left, and the last one most of the people on the server here had left. And there was a crowd standing around Lobelia Sackville Baggins for 2.5 hours last night, waiting for her to get a ring over her head. And we finally logged out because we got really tired of it, and it was late. I just happened to log back in this morning and Lobelia was up, and I grabbed her and got her story and finished it, and that was all on Gnarlo. That's why I'm running it on Glennoran and not Gnarlo, but more about that later. Postman Grubb's story. Looking for stories about Bilbo, are you now? Well, as postman, I know most people and hear most things. I can certainly spare the time to tell you a tale.
What do you need?
So you're wanting to know where Bilbo has got himself off to. Well, if you ask around these parts, folks will tell you all kinds of nonsense. He got kidnapped, or flying his own dragon, or he's leading a fighting tribe of spiders. The gullibility of hobbits is sometimes not to be believed. They'll latch on to any story they hear, and the more exotic the better. Can you imagine Bilbo doing any of those things at his age? Gracious, he's a unique sort of hobbit, but he's got limits. I can see you're the sensible sort, so I'll tell you the real truth. Bilbo's always had a terrible fondness for elves. Downright unsettling, if you ask me, but he was never one to hold with convention. Anyway, he decided to spend the rest of his days with them, invited by the elvish leaders and all. He spent his declining years living with them and enjoying their hospitality, all while writing his memoirs in the form of a one-act play, Where There's Smog, There's Fire. I hear that Buckland Benefit of the Benevolent Bucket Brigade Brotherhood for the Bruised and Burned has exclusive rights for the opening. So there you go. He thinks Bilbo has gone to live with the elves, which is true, but he thinks he's become a playwright. What do we got here? Oh, legendary item. I got lower level items level up like crazy. Okay, along with the experience that you get. Come on. Okay. Not getting my inventory to pull up. Click on this. Okay, see, you're getting all of these, you're getting bags of Bounders tokens every time you finish one as well. So we got 5 tokens. Got another 5 tokens. Another 5 tokens. Come on, big money, big money, big money, no whammies. And 10 tokens. Alright, not too bad, not too bad. I'll have to see why I'm not getting that to work. Alright, let's come over here and look at these two. You got Bogo, he's here. Hal, he's there. None of them have anything up. What about Holly? Holly's back here. She doesn't have hers up. Let's check inside the ivy bush. As always, at least 2 up, it seems. Okay, here we go. Robin Smallburrow's up.
Could I take a moment of your time?
Now, see, this is why I'm saying it's random. Last night, Robin was up, and Hereward, the tavern keeper, was up at the same time, and now it's just Robin, so it's random groups every time. What's that you're asking about now, old Mr. Bilbo, you say? Why, certainly I know what happened at his birthday party. Listen up and I'll tell you the true facts of the matter.
Hello there.
Bilbo Baggins was something of an eccentric around these parts. His adventures created enough stories that you can still hear new ones every day. Why, I was just recently talking to my niece's cousin's sister-in-law's nephew the other day, and he said that he knew what really happened at that funny birthday party. All the folk in these parts attended it, but what with the food and the drink and the dancing and all the youngsters underfoot, only a few folks really witnessed the actual disappearing act. My niece's sister's cousins, you get the picture. The lad I was talking with, he says that he saw that wizard Gandalf pop old Mr. Bilbo into a giant sack. Just visible through the fog, he said, and Mr. Bilbo squirming and wriggling like anything. Then they just vanished into thin air. Goodness knows what happened to the poor man after that, but honestly, with the stories folks tell about his adventures and associates and goings-on, what other end can a hobbit expect than a sticky one? Alright, so he thinks old Gandalf ended up sticking him in a sack and hauling him off. Oh, there we go, 20 tokens. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see, the child. Oh, the child is up. She's got a really sweet little tale here.
Might I have a word with you?
Excuse me, what's that you're asking about? Oh yes, I know lots of stories about Bilbo. My mum tells me them some nights when I can't get to sleep.
What do you need?
My mum tells me stories about Mr. Bilbo some nights when I can't get to sleep. My favorites are the ones about the Lonely Mountain with the dragon and the treasure. I'd like a dragon, I think, but only a nice one, not a nasty one. My good dragon would live with me and bring us shiny things to play with, and I'd fly him around in the sky. Dragons are terrible clever, you know, so mine would tell me stories and teach me things that only dragons know. But you know, I keep thinking about that poor mountain. Why, it's even called the Lonely Mountain, and that was when it still had a dragon friend of its own. But since Bilbo scared off the dragon, I bet that mountain is even lonelier. I feel so bad for it some nights I just cry into my plush plush sheep, Petunia. But then I thought about Mr. Bilbo, and I bet he feels the same way. I bet he went back to that poor mountain to keep it company. If I were him, I'd bring in another dragon, but a nice one this time, to keep it company for years and years and years. I bet that's just what he did. Such a sweet little tale. Oh, the storyteller just popped up, so it looks like we caught her just in time, and there's another group that has changed over, because her ring wasn't up before.
Could I take a moment of your time?
Bilbo Baggins could single-handedly keep me in business for years to come, the way folks around here swap stories about him. I'll gladly tell you my own personal thoughts on why he disappeared from his birthday party, though.
Hello?
Let's see. Yep, it's on the top of the hour. It is now 9 o'clock here, so they do change on the hour. But the next time they change around, I'll look at the clock down here and see what time it is. I guarantee you it will not be 10 o'clock. It'll be more like 9:20, 9:25, something like that. Some around here weren't sure about him, but I miss dear old Bilbo. He always had such a air of mystery about him, which is saying something, since the only air most hobbits have about them is one of pipeweed and their last meal. Bilbo was refreshing, he was, shook us all up some, and that's a good thing, no doubt. We need some rousing out of our usual routine. Not all of us had the constitution to be explorers, so it's a precious commodity indeed when we get a hobbit with real stories to tell. Anyhow, I hear that Bilbo was getting bored, and can you blame him? So when Gandalf was setting off his lovely fireworks, Bilbo grabbed onto one, and off he went, soared off into the skies in a trail of sparks. Now shake your head if you like, but I think that Bilbo Baggins could do just nearly anything he put his mind to, and I am not changing my story. Oh, I'd like to know where he landed and what mischief he's gotten up to since then. I surely do hope he returns home again, or I might just explode in a starburst myself from curiosity. Cool. And as you see down here, people are looking out Lobelia Baggins' ring, so Lobelia's ring is up. A lot of people, if you watch down here, and if you join the GLFF channel, folks have been helping each other out with that, with watching to see who exactly has a ring over the head, since some of them are so blasted rare, like Lobelia last night, popping up. Alright, the Tavern Keep is not up right now, so let's run on out, see if any of the ones down here are up, and if not, we will head on up the hill and grab Lobelia. Ah, Bogo is up too, so let's go ahead and grab Bogo.
Could I take a moment of your time?
Bilbo Baggins you're asking about, eh? Most folks thinks he's off gallivanting goodness knows where, but I've got quite a different story to tell you if you'll listen.
How do you do?
So you're wondering what Bilbo's been up to since he disappeared, eh? Well, as it happens, I heard he's not in some far-off land at all. He's still right here in the Shire. That whole party business was an elaborate ruse to set people talking and rumoring and thinking that he's in some far-off land having more adventures. That was just Bilbo's way of creating a distraction while he crept away to hide in plain sight. Folks say that at night you can sometimes see him clothed in black, face hidden behind a dark mask with an even darker cape all flapping and flowing behind him, riding along the roads of the Shire. He's turned vigilante, protecting us all from bandits and goblins and anything else nasty trying to creep into our towns. Bilbo's managed to stay out of sight so well due to his hidden hobbit holes all over the Shire. They were built in secret and paid for by his fortune, and he roams between these, never spending too much time in any one spot, always listening and waiting for danger to appear. Ah, that's cute. That's as cute as the child. The child thinks he's keeping a mountain happy, and Bogo over here thinks he's turned into Batman. All right, I'm gonna get rid of a couple more of these Bounder's bags here. 10 tokens, good. You can certainly get your handful, let me tell you. 5 tokens. Between this gives you a good amount of tokens, except for that problem with, and another 5. Except for the problem with them not coming up on a reliable basis. How about Holly? Holly's not up, so it's up the hill here. And we will talk to Lobelia up at the very top. Okay. So back across the bridge. Everyone stop and throw a rude look toward Ted Sandyman there. Although not so rude, he was actually told a fairly decent story. And Mindfiend down there is telling me Lobelia's up. So we'll probably see him at the top of the hill up here as well. Let's come up and get Lobelia's story. And as you see, we've still got a good number. Even after we get her, we'll still have 5 more to go. Let's go on up the hill here and catch her. Through the stone gate of the hill, not the wooden gate of the festival tree. And here is Miss Lobelia. Alright, let's grab Lobelia's story.
I want a word with you.
Oh, all anyone talks about around here is Bilbo Baggins. But as it happens, yes, I do know quite a juicy bit of information that I don't mind sharing with a person such as yourself. Got a feeling this is not going to be quite as pleasant a story as the others.
Can't the body be left alone?
Listen up now, and you might learn something worth knowing. Earlier that day, the day of the party that is, I'll have you know that I saw Bilbo sampling a good many of Holly Hornblower's pies. They always look delectable, but I swear she uses secret ingredients that would put off even the staunchest eater. Not that I'm jealous, mind. My pies always come in second, and I have an easy mind knowing they are made of only the finest fruits, not any new nonsense I hear tell of, not like some people I know of, and if that's good enough for me, well, pardon me, what was I saying? Oh, right, Mr. Bilbo. As I was saying, I heard that Holly was experimenting with sneaking in ground-up mushrooms, pinched from Farmer Maggot's field. If you listen to the young fry around these parts who've snuck into his field and eaten some, you'll know they have some awfully queer effects. So if you want to know what I think, and you clearly do as you're asking me, well, I think eating those pies up and disappeared Bilbo. Good thing that odd Gandalf was around to cover it up with a poof of smoke and save us all a scandal, although some might think there could have been an important lesson to be learned had he not. Alright. Oh, we are leveling up our items like crazy. Alright, so we will have a few more to check on here. There's no point in checking out any of the others right at the moment. They're not going to change that soon. But I will be traveling back down the hill as soon as probably be down there and wait down there to see if any of the other ones pop up out in the yard around the prancing pony. And not the prancing pony, the ivy bush. And in the meantime, I am going to chat with my friend Alarwin over here. So we'll see you again in just a little bit.